Hey, it's Ray here, and welcome to another video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is I don't know what to do with my son anymore. So, this is an email I got from a parent who's pretty much reached the end of their tether. So, they're worn out, they're exhausted, and they need some guidance and some help. So, maybe you are in this situation. So let's get to it. So, dear Ray, I don't know what to do with my son anymore. He can't get out of bed. He won't get out of bed. He hates school and he is not engaging with his teachers. So, I'm hearing more of this type of situation, and it tends to be more with boys. That's not an absolute, but I'm hearing more and more of boys who can't get out of bed, hating school. I hear that word a lot, and just non engagement. So, it could be an underlying anxiety, could be depression. There's something obviously going on. So, let's see what's happening. He won't engage with anything. I brought him to counseling, but he is not engaging with him either. Well, that's a good thing. So, that's an intervention. You're bringing him to counseling, and I'd be curious how many sessions he has gone to, whether he's showing up and turning up. Maybe he is, because you're bringing him there. But that can only be good, because you're creating space now for him to actually talk, and that's key in all of this. And I'd be curious as to how that's going on. He is 18 next month, and I'm seriously worried. Well, 18 or 17-year-old boys, this is a funny kind of age now where they're about to become an adult in the eyes of the law, but he's still very much acting like a child, and you're in the middle of all of this. So this can go either way. On the surface, he is fine. He had a job during the summer in a coffee shop. He has a girlfriend and he has good friends. So what I'm hearing is on the surface, this guy seems pretty healthy. If he's able to have a job facing the public, which is with a coffee shop, that's a good thing. Has friends, and he's got a girlfriend. So obviously he's got a lot of things going for him. And for many boys and mothers of boys that I talk to, they don't have any of those things. So it sounds like, from an interpersonal perspective, he sounds like he's good with people. But then he keeps telling me how hard everything is. And again, I'm hearing a lot of this. So he's in 6th year, he's 17, so he was born 2003 or so. So he's a millennial, or maybe he's Generation X or Y or the screen generation. Some people call them the snowflake generation. But I'm hearing more of this, and there's different reasons for that. Social media, the screens, over-parenting, and abundance. I talk about all of this in my motivational masterclass. Different reasons. The other big reason that I'm seeing is that third-year students, when they go into 5th and 6th year, because the junior cert was made easier, they're really struggling in the senior cycle. So this is a challenge too. So that use of that expression, how hard everything is hard. This is particular to this generation. He says he has anxiety and he has threatened self-harm and even to do away with himself. Hearing that is very concerning. That's obviously very worrying as a parent. And for the boy himself, that's very worrying. And I know if I was counseling him and he alluded to do anything to do with self-harm or suicide, I'd be going in there straight away. I'd ask him directly. This is what you're trained in your assist course, to ask them directly, are they suicidal? You do a suicide intervention contract right there and then. So ask him directly if he says that. Don't shirk, don't get away from that. He is either telling you something very important, or else he's screaming for attention. He's either in distress or attention. Don't shy away from it. Go straight into that. And I know if I was counseling him, that's what I'd do. And then you would elevate it to the proper authorities, and you might have to get involved with PA the house or talk to his doctor if he has one, but his teachers. But don't shy away from that. I think he says these things to shock me. You see, that's the other part of all of this. So, on one hand, he's saying something that's very, very, very serious and very worrying. But on the other hand, you have this suspicion underneath it all that he's trying to shock you. So in other words, he's trying to get your attention. And you say here in your email, I just don't know what to do. How can you? You're stuck in the middle of all of this, and he's almost threatening this drastic course of action, and you're his mother, so you're caught in the middle. So I totally feel where you're coming from in all of this. This is a difficult place. I'm afraid of pushing him too hard. So you're caught in this push-pull all the time. So do I come down hot and heavy? Or if he's talking about those type of things with his mental health, you don't want to go down too hot and heavy. But then again, I feel he has taken me for a ride and constantly plays the victim. There it is. So constantly playing the victim. Woe is me. Very symptomatic of young people. I've been there myself. I'm sure you have. The world owes me something, the world is too hard, it's everything else, so it's that kind of victim mentality. And one of the things I talk about in my seminars, right from first year, take 100% responsibility. He doesn't have responsibility. That's what's actually going on here. So, this is a drastic cry for attention. I think that's what's going on in the middle of all of this. And I would be very curious if I was counselling you as to what type of child he was. And there's something called attachment theory, John Bowlby. So he talks about with babies, there's 3 types of attachment. There's secure attachment, which is when the mom leaves the room, the baby self-soothes, they play away themselves, no problem. There is anxious attachment style, which is when the mom leaves the room, the baby will get all anxious and flustered, and when it comes back, it'll scream and cry and yell for attention. And then there's the third attachment style, which is avoidant. So when the mom comes back into the room, they'll literally avoid the child. They're so mad at them for leaving them. And this attachment style can be brought in, or is brought in, to the teenage years and beyond. So this is a big part of the therapeutic process, that mother-child bond and relationship. So I'd work with that if I were counselling you. And also I'd be very curious as to where does this boy fit in the family dynamics. Is he the oldest? Is he the youngest? Is he in the middle? Did someone else come along and take his thunder? It sounds like he's a very anxious young man, and he is crying out for attention. And that's what he's doing right now. He's monopolizing your attention, and he is saying and doing everything to get it. I even had surgery last month, but instead of asking me how I was, he could only talk about himself and his anxiety. So, that must be very difficult to come home from surgery, and I don't know what type of surgery it was for you, but to have your son not even ask you how you were doing, and he could only talk about himself. People use this word narcissism a lot. It's symptomatic of the selfie generation. This is where social media has played into all of this. It's all about me. It's all about the teen. It's all about my life. And not even to ask you, how are you doing? Can I do anything for you? Can I make you a cup of tea? God, wouldn't that be so fantastic? So the world is revolving around him. And when you're not giving him attention, he is screaming for it. So there's a lot of anxiety going on here. He's not trying a tap in school, and it looks like he is going to have a very poor leaving cert. And, this is the consequences of his behavior. And what I see with lots of moms and dads, they will dive in at this point to the rescue. And it's all about the points and the grades and the results. But I would be curious about how is he thinking about his leaving cert? Is he prepared for a poor leaving cert? What is he going to do next? And sometimes, a child needs a wake-up call. And, I see this over and over and over again with parents. They want to just get through the leaving cert, and they feel that if they don't do a good leaving cert, their life is over. That is a myth. They can repeat the leaving cert. You can look at PLC courses. There's loads of opportunities to do different ways of doing things. So sometimes we got to pull back from the grades thing and from the leaving cert and use it as an opportunity. And this could be the wake-up call. Who knows? So this is really, about you holding yourself in the middle of all this. And that's where your self-care is so important, because it must be exhausting to have all this coming at you. He expects me to run around after him and get everything done for him. So you are, in effect, his micromanager. You're his PA, his personal assistant. You're probably his chauffeur. You know, you're the bed maker, you're the dinner maker, all of those things. And then you go on to say here, on top of that, he's very lazy. Of course he's lazy. You've created the conditions for him to be lazy. Now, I do not want to be critical, because I don't know what goes on in every home. But I'm seeing more and more and more of this, where a parent feels that, by making the breakfast, by making the dinners, by getting them up in the morning, by driving them here, they're being the perfect parent. But actually what you're doing is you are taking away these opportunities for independence. What this boy needs is responsibility. He needs a sense of control. He needs autonomy. And you've said here, on top of that, he's very lazy. Of course he's lazy. He doesn't have to get out of bed. There's no consequences to his actions. So you've said here, any advice, as I am desperate. So what I would straight away employ here is the tennis ball technique. So think of it like a tennis ball. Hit the ball back into his court. So use every one of these, what I call turbulence tests, as opportunities for growth. If he doesn't want to get up in the morning, so I would actually say to him, I wouldn't be calling him in the morning. I'd say, the car is leaving in 30 minutes. It's your job to be in the car. If he's not in the car, you go without him. And maybe he does have to sit at home for a day or 2 days or even a week. And he might think, this is great, I don't have to go to school. But now he's seeing the consequences of his actions, and also that you have taken away, the sense of your responsibility for him. He is now responsible for himself. I would use the fact that he's 18 or turning 18 as a huge opportunity to shift the power. Give him as much responsibility as he can. Do this step by step. And what you need to do, and I say this in my parents' pep talks, I say it in the motivational masterclass, you need to step back in order to create some space so he can step up. He cannot step up if you're always diving in to save him. And I can understand why. He said some very serious things. Obviously, you're very concerned. But at the same time, this boy has no sense of autonomy. He has no sense of, if I do X and then I get Y. He has no concept of, these are the consequences to my behavior, because my mom is always going to bail me out. I hope that helps, and I hope that gives you some ideas. Use the tennis ball technique, hit the ball back into his court, and see how he goes from there. So if you like this video, click a like. If you want my coaching, go to www.raysethegame, raysethegame.com. And remember, guys, day by day, we are raising the game.